Hello, everybody. Jose Carey from Vice Outdoors. This time I'm coming to you from Angler's Fly Shop on Overland Road. For those of you who don't know, when I'm not guiding, I spend my time working here at the shop and helping out with all kinds of stuff from fly tying to outfitting boots and waders and rods and reels. But today, let's do just a quick overview about fly tying. This is fly tying season. In the wintertime when it's cold and miserable and the guides are freezing up, we start to tie flies and we prepare for the warmer days. Tying flies is its own huge kind of deal. It's its own rabbit hole. Just because you love to fly fish doesn't mean that you're going to love to fly tie. It's a different set of skills. It's a different vibe, but it can be really enjoyable. The hardest part about it, though, is what are you looking at? What vise do you start with? What tools do you need? I'm going to just give a very simplified version of what you're looking at when you decide you want to get into the fly tying game. So the first and most essential tool is going to be a vise. And a vise is simply an apparatus that holds your hook steady for you to tie. And they come in many shapes and designs and colors and sizes. And every single one will work for different people. This is one of the most common. This is the Renzetti Traveler. It is a fantastic starting vise, and this is most often what I recommend a new fly tyer to get into. These jaws will hold just about any hook you can throw at it, with the exception of maybe some of those really big blue water hooks. But most of us trout fishermen aren't really going after those. This is going to tie everything you need it to for our purposes here in Idaho. And it's just easy to use. This is actually over tensioned. It's got your tension screw to adjust for different sizes hooks. It's got your bobbin cradle. It's a rotary vise, which means that you can actually rotate it, which I haven't set up for rotary right now, but it's very easy to adjust. And it's got its pedestal. This is a fantastic start for your fly tying journey. Now, there's also a more kind of just basic vise. This is another Renzetti. This is the Apprentice, I believe. And this vise is going to be very, very simple. It's not rotary, which means it's not going to spin around like that Renzetti does. Rather, this is going to just stay in a fixed position. You can still adjust for hook size. It'll hold a huge variety of hooks, and it's got the tension. Very, very simple design, which is actually a good thing. Simple doesn't mean that it's limited. It just means that there's less that you have to mess around with. I know some of us fly tyers, we like to tinker with every little thing. And this one doesn't really have that option. And it really kind of lets you focus on your tying aspect. And I kind of like that in a vise. Another just solid option for getting into the game. Then we can step over to a completely different design. And this is what I tie on most regularly, which is a Regal. Now, Regal comes in two configurations. This one happens to be the Revolution. The most common one is the Medallion, which is just in a kind of fixed position. It will move, but it's not a true rotary. And this is one of those vices that I love. But I don't recommend getting into a Revolution as your first vise. They're just very expensive tools, and they're very specialized. But the basic Regal Medallions are a really nice step in. They're in the same price range as your Renzettis are. And a very simple vise. You don't have to worry about tension. It's got this handle here that opens. You put your hook in, you're good to go. You don't have to worry about adjusting for each hook. However, there's a problem with that, and that comes with this will have a very limited range of hooks. This is a stainless steel jaws. I can hold from size 30 hooks all the way up to usually around a size 6 is about the biggest I'm going to get. These jaws just don't open that wide. So once that gauge gets bigger, you're gonna need a new set of jaws. So I do have another set for big game flies. These open much wider, and I can tie all the way into those big, massive hooks with this. And that is the downfall to the Regal, is that for your normal trout fisherman and getting into the fly tying world, your basic jaws are gonna do everything you need it to. If you start getting into that saltwater game, or you start getting into the really micro style flies, you may find that you want to do new jaws, and that's something to think about. These are an absolute pleasure to tie on, at least for my style, But there is things to think about when it comes to the versatility of it. And if you don't mind getting that second set of jaws, it can be an amazing system. So those are your vices. Now there are tons more vices out on the market, and it's really easy to get bogged down. But essentially, if you grab a vise and it feels pretty comfortable to you, that's about as good as it needs to be, okay? Now, changing gears here, after you get your vise, then what? Now you have to start looking at tools, and there are hundreds of different tools on the market. It can feel like drinking out of a fire hose, knowing which one to get. I'm just going to give you the very bare bones tools that you need to start tying flies. The first and most important one is going to be a bobbin. Bobbins also come in all different types of variations, from very simple to a little bit more complex to very complex, right? They can be anything from just a few dollars to $15 to $20, all the way up to $80+. You don't need to spend a lot to have a very quality tool. These simple style bobbins or these loon bobbins will do everything you need them to do. I've been doing commercial tying with this loon bobbin for about 2 years. It's never failed me, and it does great. Really, it's going to come down to what is comfortable in your hand. If you like this bigger grip, excellent. If you like a smaller grip, that's also just fine. This is a one-person sport. Every single fly tyer is going to give you a different opinion and perspective, and all of them are right. But this is one of those non-negotiable tools that you have to have, is that bobbin to hold your thread to actually start that tying process. Holding between your pointer and your thumb, letting that just rest into your palm, and that's your basic grip on your bobbin, and you're just going to be doing your thing. Okay, so the bobbin is that tool you have to have. Next is, and this is honestly the most important tool in my, one of the most important tools that I have on my desk is scissors. And again, scissors come in all kinds of different variations, from arrow points to all-purpose to razor tips. And that's its own huge discussion, but a good quality pair of scissors will make your life much easier and will make things on your table flow a lot better. It will cut material cleanly. It will make your flies look good. It will cut thread cleanly. A good set of scissors is very important. Loon and Dr. Slick are some of my favorites, but I've used just about every scissor brand there is out there, and all of them make a good one. You know, here in the shop, I don't change scissors out. I'm going to cut every single thing with scissors, whether it's wire, synthetics, deer hair. I'm going to use that same set of scissors to just go. So I have different opinions on what scissors I like best. I'm a big razor scissor fan personally. It's got a lot of space. I can cut down low. It's got a nice fine tip at the top. So I like that. But I have been tying with an all-purpose scissor. This is a loon one. For the last probably 4 months, and these are just about dead now, but they have tied a few thousand flies. So a good quality pair of scissors is a very important tool on the fly tyer's desk. The other one now is, and this is kind of the bane of the existence to the fly tyer, is your whip finisher. Okay, this is going to tie the whip finish, which is the knot that we end flies with. This tool is a tricky beast to learn, but once you get it, it's very, very simple, very quick, very efficient. This also comes in all different types of handle styles and lengths and sizes of the head. The loon happens to be my favorite. I like this thick handle. I also like that there's this sharpened point here. It helps, I just cut the thread like that and move on. So this one is my personal favorite, but any Mattarelli style whip finish is gonna be a very important tool. You can do half hitches with your fingers, or you can use a half hitch tool, which is just a very simple thing that you put over the eye of the hook. In my own experience, I truly believe that the whip finish is just a more reliable knot. And if you can get past learning how to do this, this is absolutely the way to go to finish your flies. Now, with those tools right there, you can tie just about any fly that you need. Those are the only essential tools that you need to get into this game. There's other tools that can be helpful, like tweezers or bodkins and all kinds of other things. But with scissors, a vise, and your bobbin, you can get tying with just about anything. Okay, now what you're going to tie is going to depend on your style of fishing, and I recommend just choosing 1 or 2 patterns that you are confident in and start from there. Feel free to come by your local fly shop. They're going to have a lot more of that know-how and put the right things in your hand. It's very easy to overcommit and end up with things, tools and materials and hooks that you may not need. So come to your local fly shop, ask us questions. This is fly tying season. Sign up for a beginner fly tying class, learn it. It can be a lot of fun. And that's a good way to get your hands on your gear without having to spend a lot. If you do one of the fly tying classes, you don't have to bring anything other than yourself. Everything's provided for you. You'll learn the basics and you'll start to have a good foundation of what questions you should ask and what gear you should be getting, and developing your own personal tying style and preferences. Hopefully this helps you kind of decide and look at what tools you have to have, what tools you might want. I'm Jose Carey from Vise Outdoors, from Angler's Fly Shop. Tight lines, everyone.